So my question for you is, I don't know whether you have been following the news recently. So first of all, there is an autonomous vehicle company called Zoox,
Okay.
and so Zoox is owned by Amazon, and recently they just got the approval to do paid trips in San Francisco. So
Okay.
for a long time, they have been like running in San Francisco. They have been operating, but and you can order a Zoox if you are off their wait list, but they cannot do paid trips. So it's not a business. And now they
Okay.
finally got the approval to do paid trips, so they can open their door and open their business. Okay, so this is what happened in the past week. And my question to you is there are two major competitors in San Francisco. One obviously is Waymo. I'm still at Waymo swag here. You can see it on my shirt.
Uh,
And Waymo is obviously the biggest autonomous vehicle company in San Francisco or in the United States. There's another company that is running, which is Tesla, Robotaxi. And Tesla Robotaxi still have a human driver on the driver's seat for uh, purpose. They currently haven't got the permit to remove the driver yet.
okay.
So this is the two other main players in San Francisco. And beyond in San Francisco, Zoox is also operating in Las Vegas. So
Okay.
my question to you is, since there are already two players, Waymo and Tesla, that is way ahead of Zoox in terms of market share, if you are the head of growth for Zoox, what should you do to obtain a higher market share?
Okay. Got it. I will reiterate the question. There's a company called as Zoox, which before didn't had a license to do paid trips, but they had a wait list thing wherein people you used to sign up and used to offer experiences. Eventually, they have got an license to do trips in SF, just like Waymo and Tesla Robotaxi. Few more context. Zoox was also operational in Las Vegas, but I just want to confirm that it was did they had a license to do paid trips in Las Vegas?
I think so, yeah.
Sorry. And when it comes to competitors, Waymo is the biggest competitor in SF for them as well as in the United States. And second is Tesla Robotaxi. But the thing with the Tesla Robotaxi is that they haven't got an approval to remove the human in the loop. Okay. Now, I will reframe my question. I'm a head of growth at Zoox. Zoox is used to only give experiences to their early users. Now they have an approval to go to do paid trips. They're in SF before they were fully operational in Las Vegas. Coming
Oh,
to their competitors.
I actually correct myself. Zoox also just got permission to do paid trips in Las Vegas. So previously they're not paid.
Oh, okay, great, great. This is helpful. And coming to their competitors, they have two, Waymo and Tesla Robotaxi. However, Tesla Robotaxi still has human in the loops. Okay. Um, every technology in the world has go through a crest and a trough, wherein before there are early adapters, then later experienced, and then the middle funnel wherein everyone of the masses gets into it, and eventually there is a decline in their market. People who adopted. Uh, in the whole industry perspective, early adopters who were okay to bet on a technology like Waymo or Tesla have already taken a good amount of experience with the product. So they are aware about the industry. It's not like that they haven't been part of it. Now, in an established market, I'm not saying established market because this market is also growing at a faster rate. They are replacing taxis which have humans. So there is a significant amount of market. Now I am not going into the phase of guesstimating how big is the market because there are many facets to that, and I may not be fully aware about. But purely getting there are two ways we can increase the market share. One is to disrupt it from the competitors, and second, to replace the current taxes which has human in the loop. Okay. Now, if I'm not wrong, there is all this is my assumption, and I want to take a buy-in from you. There is a lot of marketing spending is already spent on converting drivers which have taxis which has drivers to self-driving.
Wait,
So
say it again.
a significant amount of capital is already spent to make people aware to move from taxis which has drivers to self-driving vehicles.
Um, I mean, sure, define capital, right? Like, maybe if the
Ads,
company.
awareness, helping them with free trips to understand their user behavior. So
Are
Zoox,
you are saying like Zoox spend a lot of capital?
no, the industry has already spent. Like before, people were not opting for self-driving vehicles. Now they have started doing it, right? A
Ah,
significant amount of awareness is already done
okay.
with the previous players.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I hold a minute. Okay. When it comes to increasing the market share of Zoox, there are two strategies which I want to go deep dive in. One is acquisition of new market. As the market is already growing, converting people who have not opted for self-driving vehicles is the first market point. Second is to convert people who have already into self-driving vehicles, but they are with the other competitors. So I will divide my whole way of approaching the market share into two major funnels, and then I will go into deep dive into it. What
Yeah.
do you want me to focus on both, or you want me to only focus on getting the market share from competitors?
Which one do you think you should focus on?
I feel going with the competitors has two major hurdles. Actually, it is a buy-in, and it is a trade-off. When I go with the getting the market share on the competitors, the first problem of awareness and how good self-driving is already solved. I do not have to convince my user that this technology does not work or whatever. If they have any fear and all, it has been solved. But the problem is that my product has to be substantially, you can differ with the competitor into three ways. First is pricing, second is product, what other features Zoox offers which others cannot, and second is people, how is the experience of they have with the product and overall the whole technology itself, the whole environment it does boost. But when it comes to acquisition, awareness is the main problem. Also after that, to retain that customer, I have to go to the same three P's, but I have to spend more time to get my market share. I just want to reiterate how, like, what's our time frame, like where we want to get in next 12 months. If that is so, it's better to focus on getting the market share from the competitors, because awareness takes a lot of time to materialize. So I would focus on getting competitors, and then just because we as we got we already got a license, it's better we get first early buy-in to understand the market and how we can place our foot forward. Because if we uh, go to the users who have already been in the market, we will understand their user behavior, what made them click to move into autonomous vehicles self-driving. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I will focus on getting the market share from our competitors. Now, when it comes to getting the market share of competitors, I will reiterate is pricing, product, and people. Now, okay, we have already been doing waitlist campaigns, like giving early buying campaigns to our users. So we already know which type of customers are using it. And first of all, of course, it are early adopters and innovators who like to adapt to the new technology and tinker with new. So that would be one facet of uh, problem statement. But second, which I feel which we are trying to miss, or like which is which we can differentiate upon, it is of course it is pricing, but when some people get into a loop of continuously using something, safety comes a major thing. So I believe we should stand out in safety part. Now, what would I have done? We already there is already a lot of data around of competitors what they are doing bad with their safety part, because there are many instances which we hear about this happened with Waymo, Tesla Robotics, whatever. So that would be first major selling point, that these are the X amount of things which this they don't give but we give. Do you want me to go to deep dive into each facet, or you want to keep it high level?
Um, we can keep it high level for safety. Because you like I think we can focus more on how to get a bigger market share instead of talking about how safety can differentiate itself.
Okay, so I you want to say that let's not focus upon how we can differentiate. Let's focus on how we can increase market share. So my point was,
No,
we first
I get what you're saying, like about differentiating on the product to get a bigger market share. But I'm saying like I got your point of having a safe car. What else?
Hmm, okay, innovation, safety, pricing, product. Hmm. Can you tell me more about when it comes to Waymo and Robotaxi, how big their enterprise angle is? If I'm not wrong, as per my purview, they more of their users are B2C when people use an app to book a Waymo
You can make
rather
that
than, huh?
you can make that assumption.
Now, when it comes to Zoox, the good part of they are part of Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to their biggest parent, Amazon has more B2B share and B2 than B2C. Now, Zoox already has the type of customers they are getting, the problem, the where they are going. See how big is their ticket client. Anyone who is opting for these experiences, I there are two things: people who have money and they want to experience new things, or people who were trying to save their expenses by tra trekking a free trip for a while. Now, if I am part of a bigger company like Amazon, I have the best way to get more and more people is let my enterprise clients and users opt for Zoox for their few operations. It can be an add-on to my existing services of Amazon, because it's a bigger problem statement to solve in itself.
When you talk about enterprise clients from Amazon existing operations, are you talking about like delivery like goods or like it's still
Even
like
Every enterprise clients, of course, has delivery and all anger, but they also have their own fleet, right? They spend a lot of money in their fleet itself, right? Zoox was already offering it to free trips for everyone. So I'm sure enterprise clients, employees were also opting for it. So they already have a buy-in for that type of set of customers. And it's a huge thing, right? When it comes, because SF has a lot of enterprise players, and they are most in tech. So they are early adopters to new technology and new products. So it's a very easiest way to get my market share in SF by targeting these people.
So you're not saying about like for example Amazon fulfillment, Amazon like delivering Amazon packages, but you're saying that because Amazon as a company have a lot of enterprise clients, for example using their AWS, and a lot of their clients may be like companies in San Francisco in the tech industry. So you can have this collaboration with these tech companies to
Right.
maybe offer a program for those tech employees to take Zoox.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Because it would be better way to all, because I already have a signal with the client, right? I'm already dealing with the client. Of course, there will be a lot of legal ways and how to navigate that, but that's the easiest facet to target upon, because the customer is already confident and is buying one services from the Amazon company itself.
Yeah.
And you already saw that Waymo and Tesla Robotics are not focusing on that. So it is more easy for me that I go into a market are where market is not been materialized yet. So that was my one facet.
Yeah.
Now in enterprise over there is many things like fleet management, employees own autonomous vehicles thing, then delivery. The easiest way is to go with the delivery part, because there is already a need, right? The employee does not care if it's coming from a human in the loop or a self-driving vehicle. Am I?
Sure.
And one is B2B angle, one is B2C angle. So as a head of growth, I will focus on B2B for my maximum efforts, because my I have already have a list of customers whom I should focus upon, and it will give me cracking even one B2B client will help me get my market share better than B2C, because in B2C I have to uh, be on top of many trends to capture why this is not going wrong with the competitor. So I would focus on B2B. So it's okay if I go focus on B2B and then take B2C angle.
Um, I would want to have more growth ideas from you. Now you're already talking about B2B programs, right? Like, and what else?
Hmm. Mm. So in my mind, how I am trying to visualize, it's a company, it's an enterprise client. There are three phases. Before the company means before their day-to-day operations, what things happen during their day-to-day operation, after their day-to-day operations. Before day-to-day operations, they have all the material to be transported to their own tech place, or employees have to come to the place, to the workplace. That is one problem statement. In the middle of the funnel, in their day-to-day operations, there are many things like delivery, they are ordering something, or their own client. The best way that enterprise people also have their own clients visiting them, right?
Yeah.
That's a bigger uh so Zoox can Zoox have already been in the place where they are offering experiences to their users. So it can give an enterprise client that if your client is visiting, they can offer a Zoox, which not only which because there is not a significant amount of risk for the enterprise client to give their customers an add-on. Hey, you can book a Zoox to be part of and visit our place. This is part of the day-to-day operation. After day-to-day operations, of course, employee has to go to their place or many other facets of it. So I'm dividing this into three funnels. I feel the middle funnel of day-to-day operations is better because it has more frequency of users interacting with my product, which is Zoox. First is my employees, second is my whole enterprise client management, third is enterprise client's client, which which go in and out. So there I have three facets of users who are interacting with me with my product. So I would focus on this angle. Now, how can I ensure that my frequency of my product interacting with this all three people can go more, uh, can increase? First is that when it comes to Waymo and Tesla robotics, people can book it and it comes, right? But one thing which I'm missing is like they're unable to rent it, right, for a while, like for 2 days, 3 days, if I'm not wrong, when it comes to Waymo.
Wait, say it again.
So, at least in India, there is the comes when you book a taxi and it completes your trip, right? But you cannot keep that Uber for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, 8 days for with you everywhere you go.
Sure, you're talking about personal ownership.
Yes, that angle is missing when it comes to the competitors. Now,
Um,
the
yeah,
good part of enterprise clients is that if you rent your car, self-driving vehicle, it stays in your campus. So there is an on-demand vehicle already present in the campus. It's like a rented car which stays on in. So that angle is missing with the competitors. First is that they are not targeting enterprise client, and second is going with the rented ownership. So these are the two facets which I would actively disrupt. Now, how would I do it? Mm.
I have a follow-up questions on this. So my understanding is what you're trying to do with the enterprise clients is you probably have a fleet for designated enterprises, right? So you can have this on-demand fleet kind of
Ownership.
operation, yeah, for your enterprise client. Do you think it's the best use of your vehicle?
Yes, and a no as well in one facet. Uh, when it comes to increasing market share is byproduct of increasing awareness that we exist. Now, when it comes to Zoox, as we are already targeting customers who have already had a buy-in of self-driving vehicles, the easiest way to get more and more users is that having an on-demand vehicle out there in their campus. Now, there is a little no angle to that. What if the number of Waymos are already more in number when it comes to Zooks? So if I have five Zooks in my campus, but of course there are 1,000 Waymos whom I can book. So if I have five car fleet dedicated to my enterprise client, if five are occupied, it does not matter because even though if I was in the campus, it is already occupied. So people will not talk about it. My frequency will not decrease. So this is what I believe.
So
Am I doing?
you assume that the vehicle will always be occupied for the enterprise use case.
No, no. That's why I said my bigger part is yes. Partly there is a no angle to it.
So how do you know whether it is the best use of your vehicle?
There are few attributes which I can talk about. First is that how number of new users from the enterprise client are using my vehicle, and second is retention. Are the same users who have been opting for Zoox for a free ride or a little what we say subsidized ride, are they opting against Zoox again and again because enterprise users have a behavior which is little repetitive than a normal user. They come to off it at the same time or similar time. They live at a similar time. So are they are the users opting for Zoox? That's the most easiest way to get in. So that would be two attributes which I would actively understand. Okay, they have opted it for the X amount of time, but they are not doing it. Now, the the only facet where I feel that my assumption will fail, that I'm assuming that my Zoox will always be occupied. There might be days in 7 days, only 2 days, like Saturday, Sunday is off. So my rented car will just be on the thing. So what I was thinking, that I would give my good users that you can take it to your home for wherever you are going. In the SF, if your trip is in SF, and I know that, so I can just give it them as that. Yes, we are available giving paid trips if you are going in and around SF. That was one angle which I am missing. But yes,
Got it. So you're basically saying that you are trying to think about maybe like in early days when you're looking for an enterprise client, you want to make sure that the use case is like the maximum like utilization for the vehicle. And like during the
yes.
weekends, you want to maybe subsidize the vehicle to an employee, maybe through a program or whatever the enterprise can manage themselves to increase the utilization.
Mm. Can you repeat the last part?
So you're saying that during the weekend, you want to give the vehicle to the enterprise employees, however they want to select it, right, to improve the utilization.
And the good part of doing is that when I will focusing on the enterprise clients, I will go back to again. We were focusing on getting the market share from the competitor. But when a vehicle is inside a campus, we will also able to target the customers who are not opting for self-driving vehicles. Because when it comes to B2C, I have to there is a lot of facets to get an buy-in from the customer. But when the vehicle, the fleet is on their campus, they can always opt in to go inside the campus to move around.
Okay.
So it's a better way to get a market share, because I'm not only targeting people who have already got the buy-in from self-driving vehicles, but I'm on top of people who have not opted for self-driving vehicles. Why someone is not opting for a self-driving vehicle? Because they do not want to experience it. Why they do not want to experience it? Because they haven't got an opportunity very easy. They do not have to go through many things to get an app and whatever. If it is on my face, it's around me, I would easily opt for, because because I will be in groups of people who have already got a buy-in from like autonomous vehicles. So when I am working with them and when I'm around them, of course there is lesser friction to opt for this experiences. So I'm not only targeting people who have got the buy-in, but I'm also targeting people who are already not into it.
Okay.
So this is a better, and because using this experience, I will then use it to scale and use it on, say, organizational level, a local level, a district level, and then eventually cover the whole city. Because if I go into a very set, if I just target directly to the SF and divide the whole experience, I may lose out a lot of first capital to get my growth, but it will not be sustainable. And I'm assuming the time frame is 9 to 12 months, because in deep tech industry, 3 6 months do not really count as per my experiences. So yes.
Sounds good. Um, how do you want to choose your enterprise, like the first group of enterprise clients?
Of course, it will be tech companies, because the most early adopters come from this place. And second is, which I want to go into, is customers who are into digital manufacturing, like Honeywell, Linde, wherein they use a lot of tech for their manufacturing operations. Now I'm unsure about how big manufacturing is in SF or its offshoots, but because the employees of these companies are not only into tech, but they are into manufacturing. The reason why I want to go into digital manufacturing, because manufacturing has more number of trips happening per employee rather than a tech company, because their own manufacturing has the more supply chain management which comes along with it, trucks that may happen, or a small trucks. There are many more use cases when it comes to a digital manufacturing. Why I'm not going into purely manufacturing company? Because they have various restrictions and problems. to have always have human in the loop. And so as far as an office in SF, if I'm not wrong, yeah, it is a company which sells digital manufacturing software tools to manufacturing companies. So they will always know more things about where Zoox can go, and what we say, integrate into the tech which has not adopted self-driving. So I would go into first major tech companies to get my market share a little faster rate. And second is companies which are offering solutions to manufacturing companies. Because it will first will help me to get my market share directly from the competitors, because I'm assuming for the fact that these tech companies have already using self-driving vehicles. And second is a place wherein people have opted but not opted at a larger group of set. So these are the two things. Now you would tell me what makes an enterprise client convert to be my customer? What facets I would think upon? First is of course the campus size. Is the campus big enough that employees are moving from one place to another? If it's a very small campus, there is a lesser friction to adopt users who have not been into self-driving autonomous vehicles.
Oh, you're only thinking about campus inter like
No, no, of course I'm going into intercity, but I'm just telling the attributes which I would focus upon.
okay. In SF, nobody has a big campus.
Uh, I agree, but by this, what I mean that, okay, but there are be employees, right, who are moving from their place to the company, right?
So you're talking about the employee, like total number of employees, rather than you're talking about like the how big is the campus, right?
Big is big is the campus does matter, right? Because I want to convert people who are not into something. Like, but I was not aware about that SF does not have any big campus.
Yeah, I mean there is a city, so the land is expensive.
Hmm. I'm getting a hard stop here. I know my problem statement and segment is right. Also how to go about it. But the attributes which I should focus upon getting the enterprise client, and okay, this is the enterprise client which I want to focus upon, is something which I'm getting. First is the number of employees, because more number of employees, more the frequency. The campus pass do not matter because they do not have bigger campuses. Third is pricing a problem when it comes to SF?
Maybe you tell me.
If someone is using autonomous driving vehicles again and again, what are they looking for better experience, or are they looking for how cheap they can get it into per kilometer basis? Uh, which they can. mm, but this is my assumption that Zoox is offering lesser pricing for per kilometer, per mile. Um,
Why do you think Zoox is offering a lower price per mile?
no, it's my assumption as a
Why?
growth, because when you are comparing two competitors and the technology has already reached parity when it comes to experiences, the only way people try to get new users is to offering subsidized pricing for a while and get them convert into a habit. And I have to always opt for Zoox. That funnel takes a time, and pricing is a thing there. Of course, safety we can you can sell upon, or you can come up with better experiences where it is all going with the ownership part angle as well. But mm, because they were offering free trips, right, for a while to get test their customers, so they were into pricing.
What else do you think they could provide a cheaper price?
I'm thinking. Your question, what are they offering other than pricing for the cheaper?
No, I'm saying you're making this assumption that Zoox can offer a cheaper price, right? And
Yes,
your assumption is based on Zoox has offered free trips before. But the reason
yes.
why they're offering free trips is because they didn't have the
They didn't have
permission
a license. Yes,
to
yes. So
offer paid trip.
people are aware, right? I can always book a free ride for a Zoox. Now they are getting into the paid angle, right? They cannot just say that, oh, Zoox is now paid. Now you cannot opt for a free ride. That's
Correct.
not a good way, right?
My question to you is that so previously when they offered the free trips, it is not the evidence for you to say that they can do a cheaper price, right?
Yeah,
Because previously they
yes,
are not allowed to do paid trips. So my
yes.
question to you is why do you make assumption that they can offer cheaper price?
I was in my mind, it was that Amazon is a funded thing and they can burn a capital to get people first buy.
Sure, that's one of the reasons. What else?
Second is that I already mentioned that the only way if someone is very, very happy with the Waymo and they want to convert it into Zoox, they would opt for uh, a company which, just a second, uh, they would offer a experience which is little cheaper upon because they are saving money at the end of the month, right?
That is a
Very, very,
reverse.
very way. Yeah, yeah.
No, that is a reverse assumption, right? Like my question is, what evidence do you have to say that they can or they are able to offer a cheaper price? You're saying that in order to get a bigger market share, we have to offer a cheaper price. These two are not related.
Yeah, okay. My answer is if I decide to it, I will decrease the price. It's not about I have an option to offer a cheaper price. I get
Yeah,
it
so
now.
you just said that offering a cheaper price is important, right? And how can we offer a cheaper price? You're saying Amazon is the parent company, so we do have
Yes.
capital to burn. But that is one of the reasons, right? And also, do you think that Amazon gave you what, 10 years to burn capital? Like,
Hmm.
what is the time range, right? Amazon cannot sponsor you forever. So
Right.
what else do you think that they can offer a cheaper price? Or from like at which stage they should not offer a cheaper price and actually get capital back to Amazon?
I feel at least for if I'm looking for a growth for a 12-month angle, at least for first 3 months, I should give an option to at least understand my enterprise client or my base, how they're interacting, what they're offering upon. And I can only get it by offering a free rides for a at least for first 2 to 3 rides. Now, how to get along that into a time frame? Okay, this is the money, this is what, which I am unable to comprehend, and
Um,
my assumption that I am. It's my. I will push back. It was my assumption that it can offer a free, it can offer a subsidized rate, but it's not. We have to come up with a reason why would they do. So it's wrong at my side. But I'm unable to get the still the crux upon how to differentiate on the pricing part because it's not a growth angle which I should focus on because it's not sustainable. I have to come up with few months which they can convert upon or something like that. So yeah.
okay. Then what other growth hacks do you have?
Of course, it is to get bundled with their current Amazon services, but it has already been discussed a lot. Um, we can also partner with conferences this enterprise clients are offering, right? We can offer free rides, or not free rides, we can offer experiences when it comes to conference. If people are visiting this conference, if can say that $80 is for the ticket, you can get a free ride or a subsidized ride for a $10 something to come to my conferences. That is
That's
one
cool.
angle. And after the conferences, we can give a rented ownership that okay, you can keep if you really like the experience, you can take it to your home if you're in SF, and you can get a more experience about Zoox. That was one angle which I was focusing upon. One thing which I am so one thing which crossing my mind is like there are good education institutions as well, right? When in SF
Sure.
and many graduate students or professors, and these campuses are relatively bigger than say the enterprise clients, right? Education institutions is always bigger than a. So I was thinking upon like I should also focus on that angle as well.
What else?
But the problem with that customer is that they do not have money.
What else?
Um, Conference, in transit, employee, delivery, uh, and safety is done. Yes, there are four things which I've given. At least it will get help me get the buy-in, right?
Um, do you want to give up on consumer market or you just want to like specifically start with enterprise?
I'm not saying to give up on consumer market. The reason to not go directly into consumer market is that I have to not only fight with the awareness angle, I have to also do the my acquisition funnel is not only to go with the awareness, I have to also make them go and opt for another competitor. And I would have a limited amount of resources, right, to reach my time frame. If I already have an Amazon who is part of all these companies, it's easy to go through that route.
Sure.
So I'm not giving up, but in a time frame of 9 to 12 months, it does not make sense to go through the consumer part. If the angle is of 3 years, 2 years, of course I should. Because I still remember Waymo's no,
What else?
no, I do not have an answer to what
That's it?
it's yeah, I guess my case
Okay.
is I'm unable to still come up with a better solutions to enterprise. But let's see.
Okay. So overall, I think your answer makes sense to me, but I think like the way that you answer this question is you're gonna give the interviewer a heart attack. Like, first of all, like the normal interviewer are not gonna push you to ask you what else, what else, what else. Okay, you give me freaking like five solutions your own. You're not gonna ask the interviewer to push you to give me an answer. So, practice more. You don't have a very clear structure, so the interviewer also don't know what to expect. And under each structure, you better give the interviewers a lot of like divergent thinking. Right now, you're very focused. That is a very like common mistake that people who just started mock interview will have. Because when I'm asking you a question, I don't want you to give one solution that I'm gonna use in my next quarter. I want to make sense of your thinking process. So you better give me the reasoning and you better tell me out of all the solutions, why do you want to choose enterprise, right? It's to have your reasoning. So all of these matter, your thinking process matter. And a lot of times, like the previous logic doesn't support the opinions in your later answer. For example, you were saying like we have two paths to go. One is acquisition of new market. The other one existing users with other companies. And then you're talking about having enterprise clients. If Waymo or Tesla are not doing enterprise clients, why are you talking about you are doing existing users with other competitors? Right?
Um,
That's where you chose, right? So like the previous answer
um,
doesn't support the later answer, right? So you want to make sure your whole thinking process is holistic. It's not making sense to me
um,
right now. And that is a red flag for the interviewer. The interviewer doesn't care whether the enterprise solution is the solution that Zoox is going to take, but they care whether you're educatable and whether you're making sense. Okay.
um,
And
uh, shit.
also, yeah, also you're saying like when you're saying like, okay, we are going to focus on short term, so we're going to go with the competitors market because awareness takes time. Great. And then you talk about pricing, product, and people. And if I don't push you on how to make this price cheaper, you're just gonna talk about like enterprise solution, like directly. Where is your freaking framework? Right? So
Hmm.
you're talking about how to differentiate your product. Yes, you can talk about like go to market or like what program you want to build for your enterprise clients, right? That makes sense to me. Event based is another thing, right? Why do you want to do event based? Because Waymo is doing that too. When Cup happens, right? Waymo wrap their cars, right? Waymo does a lot of campaigns. This is a very cultural like thing to support, right? And it will spread your brand words out to more people to add in awareness. So that is a very good thing to do. What else, right? Like you basically just give me like two solutions. One is enterprise owned fleet. The other one is event based campaign. That's it. And a lot of like detail, like follow up question doesn't make sense to me. For example, when I asked you whether it's the best use of your vehicle, right? What is the benchmark here? Let's say if Zoox by itself cannot get a ride at all if it is open to consumer, then getting one ride is already good enough,
Hmm.
right? So you have to understand your benchmark here. What is the maybe the total addressable market or the best you can get if you open up to consumer versus what is the best you can get if you open up to two enterprises, right? And also what you were saying makes sense to me that like you need to look at which enterprise you are working with to improve the utilization for the vehicle. And guess what? It also depends on how much the enterprise is paying you, right? If the enterprise pay you a shit ton of money, then
Hmm.
sure, if they just want to take one ride per day, good for them, right? So it is always a trade-off. Even if the utilization is not high, whether it makes sense for your business. And you also talk about the increasing retention to consumer, basically building loyalty to consumer. That makes sense to me. And also, you're saying you want to select tech companies and digital manufacturing. That makes sense. I think for as an interviewer, I wouldn't expect you to know a lot about like San Francisco companies. So like the direction makes sense to me. But other than
Okay.
that, if you think about like you also need to consider how many cars do you have. So let's say you only have two
Hmm.
cars, right? Then one enterprise is probably the best you can get. And if you have 200 cars, then that is different, right? So let's say if you only have like 50 cars, then probably you want to collaborate with, I don't know, like three, four enterprises.
Yeah.
Then picking enterprises is extremely important. Let me ask you this question. If you're picking, let's say, a hospital, Sutter Health,
Hmm.
what is the impression you create to the consumer market?
Yeah, I guess availability, because when it comes to emergency, if my vehicle is very available and on demand, it is very utmost necessary for my user, right? It will solve a very big problem.
What else?
Hmm. Availability, yeah, my very big thing. If I'm going through a taxi, does it so at least for my experiences, there is if there are few things which can help save the life of the patient. If I'm offering something on that angle, it will be very, very, very big angle.
Sure.
Because I'm
What else?
sure, damn, no, I'm
If I'm
not.
a consumer, If I'm a consumer, I already get used to Zoox collaborating with hospitals. Then when I'm getting in the Zoox, I will think that that's weird, right? It doesn't give me a fun experience. It gives me a, of course, reliable experience, but also I will associate your brand with the hospital. So there's a brand collaboration here. You don't want to collaborate any brand.
But you are seeing on the user side, right? But when I'm saying on the enterprise side, if I partner with an hospital, I know, right, they will use it. Because if I say that Zoox will be available in 10 minutes and other are being available in 30 minutes, people will opt for Zoox, right? As a consumer. Because at that time, it does not matter.
It's not
the ex-
it's not like that, right? Because now you are serving only one hospital. Of course, you are always available. If you're
Hmm.
open up to consumer, that's a changing factor, right? But like you can prove your reliability
Okay.
because you are serving a hospital, right? If you're serving government hospital, like this type of organization give you credibility, but it doesn't make sure that you're gonna always be available to people, right? So what I'm trying to say is you want to think about what brand you want to collaborate with,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Okay.
that is one part of your decision making, right? Because you can
Got it.
collaborate with a lot of them. You're not like Zoox tomorrow are gonna have 2,000 cars, and you can collaborate with all the enterprises.
Got it.
And you also talk about bundling with existing Amazon services. Mm, great, that works. You could dive a little bit deeper, right? What type of Amazon services you could bundle with? Let's say, are you doing like last meter, last mile, right? What is Amazon currently using for last mile delivery? And whether Zoox can be a part of it. That also works.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and for the enterprise car usage, I still have this question about. I understand you were saying um, during rush hours you want to like give ride hail to the employees. During the non-rush hours, you want to depend on basically depends on the enterprise like their own businesses and see whether they have anything to deliver at all, right?
Right.
There, but there will always be from midnight to let's say 7 a.m.
Hmm.
What are you going to use for that time, right? Or are the enterprise are going to pay you so much money that you don't really care about that time? Um,
Yeah. At
so
that time. Hmm.
yeah, and I think the biggest problem I have with your answer is still a little bit lack of structure that the interviewer doesn't know what um you're gonna get to. And also you do too much convergent thinking than divergent thinking. And the interviewer in the real interview are not gonna always push you saying what else, what other
What
ideas do you have.
else?
Yeah. So you need to give them one, two, three, four, five, right? And you want to make sure that all the five ideas have a pretty good coverage. So improve your divergent thinking or improve your creativity. And I push you on why the pricing can be cheaper. You're talking about Amazon has money, which is a good point.
Hmm.
But Amazon owns Zoox, right? That means that you better find some synergy. And operating a fleet is not only like cars in the city, right? You also have charging stations. You also have maintaining centers, right? Also have all of these stuff. And Amazon has fulfillment centers. Amazon have Whole Foods, right? All of these parking lots, can we use their parking lots? Can we use their parking lots to charge our cars, right? If people are not coming to Whole Foods during the evening hours, can we use their spot to charge the cars? So all of these are going to save your cost, and saving your cost is your potential of reducing your price.
Can another, like, coming on the same cost, the parking part makes sense. It's spot on. Any other place which you feel they can save price?
A lot of them. I don't expect that you actually have the understanding of the car manufacturing, but actually one of the biggest point of Zoox car design is that it is symmetric. And what does symmetric mean? Symmetric mean that they order every supply by two times, and that's going to
Mm.
reduce their cost. We talk about the five forces, right? The Porter's forces model. And if you order more in quantity, your supplier is going to reduce your price, right? And that's why when the companies cross the chasm, the supplier is going to reduce the price because there will be more competitors coming up, and the more competitors are going to order the same supplier stuff, right? So that is how the whole industry's cost is going to get lower. But even before that, Zoox has their car designed totally symmetric. So it could order from the same supplier double the volume, right? And that's how
Makes
they want to
sense.
take price.
Mm.
And also it depends on, well, who are their suppliers, how they're manufacturing the cars, where are they manufacturing the cars. If they're manufacturing the cars in China, then there is tariff right now. So there are a lot of ways in the manufacturing that you can save your cost. Um, and also the operation cost that we just have, right? Like your fulfillment center, like your charging stations, your depots, right? Like if you think about a brand new company, let's say uh, I don't know, Waymo, or like I don't think anyone own Aurora, but I might be wrong. But like all these companies need to build these centers, right? So can you leverage Amazon's existing network to maybe reuse some of the facilities or build it faster, right? So that's also something you can save your cost. And also, if you're a part of Amazon, then a lot of operation people, you can just reuse Amazon's people. So there's a lot of like human costs that you can save as well.
Got it.
And also, you always talk about the consumer market is hard because you have to educate the market. But this is San Francisco, man. So like you don't need to educate San Francisco people that there is an autonomous vehicle going on. Okay. Even before
Mm.
you started to have a paid trip, everybody already know about Zoox and everybody is trying to get on the list. So it also depends on the cities, right? So the awareness, I understand from a business level, you always talk about awareness because the whole industry is crossing the chasm now. But probably in San Francisco specifically, you don't need to build that much of awareness. That's one. And second is if you are in San Francisco, of course, like this is again not something that I would require you to talk about in your answer because you haven't been to San Francisco yet. But like if you have been here, what you will know is that all the autonomous driving vehicles are so hard to get. Waymo will let you wait for so long. Tesla will let you wait for so long. Why? Because there is a supply problem. So any car coming in will reduce the supply problem. Right. So
Mm.
this is a supply demand problem, right? So like you assume that this market doesn't have enough awareness, and that's why the supply won't be a problem, right? That's basically your assumption behind your whole answer. But actually,
Right.
the reality is not like this, right? Because the awareness is not a problem, and supply is actually the problem.
But how would I got if I'm not in SF? Like how to come up with this thing? Because I would not, this will happen in every industry or every interview which I take, right?
It happens what?
See, you were aware, or anyone who is in SF is aware about the supply side of the problem. If if given a chance and there is another city and there is another product, which I am assuming that awareness is not there, but there is a supply problem. How can I get that?
Yeah, it's hard. And specifically when you're interviewing companies like this, it is very hard. And I got rejected by Lyft 7 years ago because of that. So 6 years ago. So Lyft back
Be-
then was asking me like how can they improve like public transit? And I live in Durham because I was at Duke. And I don't even know that they have a freaking public transit product because that is only a product in cities. So I thought they are like I saw this on their website. I thought it is a B2B service, right? But turns out it is a B2C service. So it is always a risk that you have to take when you're interviewing companies like this.
I can ask anything to the interviewer to get the
Of
early
course you
sign in
can.
that it's.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what question to ask because I cannot be explicit, right? If you have a supply problem or
No, you can do that. You can
oh,
ask the interviewer, for example, you can say, I've never been to San Francisco, so I don't know the exact like market situation there, right? But I would assume most of the people in San Francisco are people in tech. So they might
Hmm.
be aware that there is this autonomous vehicle brand going on, right? But still, I'm very curious, like because whether I will choose to come to enterprise market versus consumer strongly depends on the supply demand relationship. So I'm wondering, based on your sense, not exactly like the right data in the market, but like just give me a rough direction. Do you think that the supply is more of a problem in San Francisco or the demand is more of a problem?
Hmm. Got it. Okay. I feel I have not up to the mark with this interview, but uh,
I think you're talking with me in a way like I'm your manager and you're trying to find a solution for me. But like in the interview, you're trying to give as many solutions or as like more like broad solutions as possible. So the interviewer can direct you to a direction or the interviewer can tell that you have the skills to come up with all the solutions.
okay. I
Okay.
agree.
Now we're open up to questions. Anyone have any questions?
There's one comment which I was reading in the chat. Oh, no,
I
I
think
cannot see the chat
it's
because I left, I guess. That's
No
why.
worries. I think it's Celine. Yeah, Celine is basically saying like lower the cost for Zoox, um, and make the
Mhm.
access easier to the consumer market.
I guess PABA is Payal. She had a point as well. I don't know.
So, what
PA.
I was, yeah, you are right, Yogesh, it's a spiral here. So, what I was
Hi.
telling is that when you were talking about that hospital, like associating Zoox with hospital, it was kind of like a bit unclear to me whether you were trying to associate Zoox with like ambulance purpose
Yeah.
hospital or
No,
for
no, no, no.
consumers, like to go to
No.
hospital. So, that what I was trying to understand
Yeah, I
when
think that is
it
the brand risk if you associate yourself with
With
hospitals.
ambulance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I realized it later that I should not do it.
Yeah, there are so many Asian people in the Bay Area, so many Chinese people. And if you're like associating your brand with hospitals, Chinese people will be like, that doesn't look too lucky to me if I get into a Zoox. So you got to think about all of this.
I agree.
Any other
Okay.
questions from the audience? Okay, if not,